And, one of my other core beliefs is that, trust Jesus, because I'll tell you, Alex, that night I gave God an ultimatum. I said, you better show up. If you're half of what you say you are, or anything that anybody else says you are, show up. And lo and behold, the gun that's never jammed before, hasn't jammed since, it sits next to my bed tonight on the nightstand. It jammed 3 times in my mouth that night. And that's when I knew that Jesus was real, that God had a plan.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from 4-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast.
Boom.
Hello, man. What's up? How are you?
I'm amazing, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing better than you.
Think? Why you always gotta one up me, man?
I'm just kidding, man. I've been saying that all day.
I love it.
Happy
Monday, bro.
I asked my team, how are you? And then they say, I have a positive attitude. I'm doing things right. I have no fear and I'm grateful. And then they tell me, what about you, Alex? And I'm like, I'm doing better than you. I have a super positive attitude. I'm doing things super right. I have absolutely no fear and I'm super grateful. So, yeah.
Man. Have you ever read the book Multipliers by Liz Wiseman? I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay.
You recommended it to me. I haven't read it, but I have it here, right?
Okay. I thought so.
You know what I'm reading? Proverbs, man. I'm reading Proverbs, man.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Bro, it's great. Like, holy shit. The other day, I think it was last week, I cried of happiness and gratitude.
Yeah.
And then I felt God hugging me from the back. I'm not even kidding. That was crazy. So yeah, man. Ooh, boom, leadership change. Awesome. Let's go.
You know awesome, what time man. It is? No.
Yeah. So man, so you know what? Actually, well, you were booked for the Gentleman's Podcast, but yeah. Like I would like to for you to be my first guest here, if you want. If there's not a problem.
You tell me. Which one are you doing? I seen your screen the other day as to all the different ones that you got going on. So which one are you doing? This one or that one or the other ones?
I would like to do this one.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Or yeah, let's go. Or yeah, I don't know. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I'm too blessed to be stressed, my friend.
Let's do the modern gentleman one. Yeah. Let's do this one. Let's see, modern king.
Whatever one. So what I was saying, where'd you go? How do you make yourself disappear? That's what I want to know.
Well, you know what else I can do? I can make myself small. Look.
I noticed that. Was that just a camera setting or what is that?
And look at this. Look at this. Oh, wait, no. Look at this. Live stream. It's OBS. Yeah.
Oh, OBS. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
all right.
Here's the thing. I messaged you 2 nights ago or whatever. I was like, bro, master, a jack of all trades is a master of none, right? And you said that you have a person, like that's the person you're going after. What you do best is connecting and podcasts. Like you've figured out how to do it. I would just pick one and blow that up.
Pick one. What?
Pick one, like the Modern Gentleman or the REI or the women's one, pick one.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
we
No,
just did that.
oh, it's
We
recording. Like
downsized.
this is recording. Okay.
I know.
Um,
Thank God
do
you
you
got a
already know my
badass
story,
team.
man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You already know my story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's just get started officially then. All right.
Let's go.
So, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. As always, I have an incredible guest with me today. Before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who are leaving comments, reviews, and likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those watching on YouTube as well. Thank you. And I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value and insight, a mindset shift, if you get some motivation, inspiration, right? Like if you get moved to go out and take action to keep on moving forward towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this episode with 10 people. Share it on social media, share it with a friend, post it on Facebook, post it on your Instagram, share it with 10 friends, since this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other men out there, other women out there to change their lives. And today I have Bryce McKinley. He's globally recognized as one of the top 5 sales trainer and independent business consultants in the world. And he's worked with businesses including and not limited to Fortune 500 companies such as Ford, Nissan, Tyco. That's another car company, right? ADT. And he's been selling since he was 8 years old and training professionals for over 20 years. So this has allowed him to become a master closer and negotiator. And most recently, he took those abilities that he has developed for the past couple of decades into real estate, and he has sold over 70,000 homes that were bought and sold completely virtual. Right now,
7,
he's also
7,000, not 70.
7,000. I said 7,000.
Yeah.
7,000.
I thought you said 70.
No. 7,000. Yeah, 7,000 homes bought and sold virtually. Like he didn't have to walk on those homes. He didn't have to go and see them. Right. So virtually. He's also the CEO of Sharpen. He's not wearing his hat. He's normally wearing a hat called Sharpen. What does the Sharpen stand for, man? SHARPEN.
Selflessly helping already persons eager for nurturing.
Damn, which is a nonprofit. That is after changing people's lives one life at a time, and they help and serve the less fortunate. So which is something that we all should be doing, right? Which I just learned. I didn't know. I've been reading Proverbs and I've learned that's something that we should all do. So Bryce, I'm happy, man, to we always talk, but I'm so stoked to get to talk to you in a podcast for the next couple of minutes, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. You've been a blessing and a friend in my life, and it's an honor to be here, man. I'm excited.
Thanks, man. So Bryce, the first thing that I do with my guests, man, is I ask them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
75 seconds or less. Do you have a timer?
Yeah, I have it here.
Well, okay. You don't have it up on the, okay.
I should, huh? I should, man.
You should have a little timer up in the corner or something, like counting down.
Yeah, I should make myself small like this and then have a timer right here counting down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna implement that. Thanks.
It's all good. That's one thing I love about you, Alex, is you'll take something and be like, I'm gonna implement that, and you do it every time. I love that about you. 75 seconds or less. Here we go. So my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 8 years old. I had a paper route, got fired, and I got fired because I was supposed to be 10. In the state of Illinois, they had, I don't know if it was the state or if it was the company, but you had to be 10. And so one thing that you don't know by listening to the sound of my voice, I'm 6'5", I'm about 230, so I'm a big guy, and I've always been a bigger guy. And at 8 years old, that was no exception. But I got fired for the first time in what would be the last time of my life because I wanted to be in control. And I looked at my parents. I looked at my route manager. Ironically, her name was Karen. Go figure. And the stereotype that we all know as a Karen stuck, because she was going to let me go and told me to come back when I was 10. And I told my dad, I said, obviously you thought I could do a good job. You wanted me to have more responsibilities. And Karen, I've been doing a great job the last couple of months. Why don't we put the paper route in my dad's name? And when I turn 10, you give me more responsibilities. And that's when I knew that I could sell as I look back as an adult. And so they did that. I turned 10, a year and a half, 2 years later. They gave me 5 more routes. So I had 10 paper routes by the age of 10 years old. And the rest is history. At a very young age, I got into a lot of trouble. My parents separated, hanging out with wrong crowd, gangs, and violence in Chicago. I was entrepreneurial in the wrong industry, selling drugs and weapons and things like that. And by the grace of God, I had a life-changing encounter to where my case that I was facing, some pretty hefty criminal charges, got dismissed. How much time do I got left? I'm going to keep talking, Alex. How much time do I got left?
Go.
So my life changed forever. When the gavel came down and my charges were dismissed, my uncle grabbed me by the ear and said, you're going to come work with me. And so I started detailing cars at a small car dealership in Davenport, Iowa, begging him for an opportunity to sell. And one day in the middle of a blizzard, he said, if you can sell a car or a truck today, I'll put you on the team next week when you turn 18. And that's what I did. I went to work. I started taking immediate action. I believe that simple action creates simple results, and simple results creates confidence. And it takes confidence to build an empire. I believe that. And that's what happened. I sold 2 trucks and an SUV in the middle of a snowstorm. He put me on the team next week. And within 2 years, I became the #1 car salesman in the world with Ford Motor Company, recruited out of my dealership, and then later hired by Nissan, Toyota, and Honda to teach my very simple and 7 steps to business and 5 steps of every sales conversation. Unfortunately, through a series of unfortunate events, I lost a son in 2006 and a wife in 2008 due to homicide and then suicide. And I went off the deep end. Literally, my wife's mom used to be my Sunday school teacher as a child growing up in church, and I completely lost my marbles. I had no care in the world to anything else but self-pity, self-excuses, and 5, 7, and 8-figure contracts, almost $80 million right up my nose and in a bottle. Ended up homeless for about a year and a half, got sole custody of a son by a girl that I had been having, a fling with while I was out there doing dumb stuff, sobered up. And I found, real estate shortly thereafter. Being sober and homeless from the backseat of my car and a computer at the library, I found what they call wholesaling real estate, which is really flipping, but instead of swinging the hammer and fixing the house up and reselling it, you put a house under contract at a lower price than what you resell the paperwork to an end buyer, and you make the money in the middle. So you've got a homeowner and you've got a home buyer, and then you're in the middle, almost like a realtor, but without a license, and you're brokering you're brokering the paper. And I did really well with that. Built a multiple 8 and 9-figure business out of that, between coaching and my teaching my process as well as flipping. And then about 5.5, 6 years ago from the time of this recording, my partners and I decided to part ways and go in a different direction. And one got married and just wanted to focus on his family. The other one moved to Mexico to a property we had down there. And I was stuck bearing the weight of trying to run everything, and I just couldn't do it. And so I walked away from that business and started over from scratch. About 5.5, it'll be 6 years actually in October of the time of this recording. It'll be 6 years. And the rest is history, man. I built it all back up in 6 years, and we're wholesaling or fixing and flipping. We also buy and hold now between 40 and 50 properties a month, completely virtual, Alex, just like what you said. And just blessed, man. I'm remarried, happily remarried, been blessed beyond my wildest dreams. I've got an 11-year-old that is also an entrepreneur. He's raised over $30 million for nonprofit organizations here in the Dallas area. And yeah, man, that's been my journey. I tried to do it as fast as I could.
That doesn't even make sense, man. Like that journey, holy. And I've heard of your journey a couple of times. And I'm still like shocked, right? Yeah. And I wonder, does people feel like that every time like I tell my story? Right? Yeah. and it gives me like, it encourages me to share it, like to share my story, because it probably does, right?
Yeah. Well, and everybody's going to be affected differently, like some people will resonate with your story and other people just won't, right? Like I just shared it very high level, really fast. But normally, when Tony Robbins hired me to come in and speak and teach to his sales team, and I tell my story, it's a very theatrical presentation. When
Yeah.
Damon John from Shark Tank and Kevin Harrington had me on in a mastermind with 5,000 people on stage as their keynote, I'm telling a very theatrical version of that, and there's some things that I left out, some of the major points that I left out, like September 28, 2011, when I had that mind shift that you talk about, and not a mindset. I had that mind shift that I just couldn't do it anymore. I was homeless at the time, had my son, who was barely 1 year old, in the backseat of my car, and a 40 cal in my mouth.
Oh, your son was in the back of your car, man?
Yeah. I wrote a letter to my mom, and I wrote a letter to my son, and I pulled my car out in the middle of the street, and I'm just like, man, I can't do this no more. Alex, I was done. I was like, F this, forget the world. Somebody else can take care of my son better than I could. And I put that gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger 3 times. And, one of my other core beliefs is that, trust Jesus, because I'll tell you, Alex, that night I gave God an ultimatum. I said, you better show up. If you're half of what you say you are, or anything that anybody else says you are, show up. And lo and behold, the gun that's never jammed before, hasn't jammed since. It sits next to my bed tonight on the nightstand. It jammed 3 times in my mouth that night. And that's when I knew that Jesus was real, that God had a plan. And then you fast forward now 11 years, 11 plus years, and I've been blessed beyond my wildest dreams.
That's crazy. So you had the gun before that night, right?
Correct.
And it never jammed?
Never.
And you shot it before, right?
Oh yeah. Many
And
times.
then you've had it since then, and you've shot it again.
Yeah. I just sighted in a new laser sight on it just a month ago. Never jammed before. It hasn't jammed since.
Damn, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Damn, that's crazy. That's really, really crazy, man. Yeah. So, damn. So, man, I just did a podcast like 15 minutes before getting on this one with yours. And the subject that came up was, like finding your gift, right? And whenever and finding your gift and just walking your calling, using your gift, right? Like what you're good at. So you found out that you were good at sales when you were 10 years old, right? So, right, like now looking back as an adult, you're like, oh, like this is my gift, right? So like, tell me about this gift of sales. It's like a very broad question, but like, tell me about this gift of yours when it comes to sales. And then the second part of the question would be like, how is it that you're using it now?
Yeah, great question. I think it's 2 parts. I don't know who quoted this, but someone once quoted, the most effective person isn't the genius in an organization, it's the genius maker, right? And so being that I'm not necessarily always the smartest guy in the room, I do understand how to help people be better and do better, be more and do more. Right. And so that's one of the things that have helped me be very successful. The other side of it is the quote, that comes to mind is the quote that Zig Ziglar once said. Zig said that if you help enough people get what they want, you can have anything you'd like in life. And I believe that when a lead comes in, whether it's somebody wanting to know about your podcast or my real estate services, or maybe siding or roofing or cars or whatever it is, when a lead is in front of you, if you're knocking doors and somebody's like, yeah, tell me more, that's a lead. When a lead comes in, I believe a couple of things. Number one, I believe that is your moral responsibility to help them get what they need or want. Number two, I believe that sales is a service. And so I'm providing a service to, maybe meet a financial need or a time need or a convenience need in their life. I mean, we can all go out and purchase a car, but we're all going to pick something different, whether it's safety features or speed or, endurance or utility, whether it's a sports car or luxury sedan or a truck, right? Like we all have a need or a want or both, and that vehicle can solve it with the right vehicle. And so I'm not always a good fit for everybody. And so I learned really early on how to set the expectations that I'm picky about who I work with, and I only work with people that are serious about working with me. And then I learned to ask questions that create a limiting belief in someone's mind in order to get them to think more like I do. You see, one thing about sales, Alex, is this. People often say that people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you ever hired a lawyer?
No, I've never had the need to.
Okay. Well, when you start doing, millions of dollars and things like that, like you're about to hit $1 million a year, right? Like,
yeah,
inevitably, sooner or later, you're not going to make everybody happy and you're going to get sued, or maybe you get hurt and you have to hire a lawyer to go battle the insurance, whatever, right? Most of us listening to this may have hired a lawyer at some point for some reason, but not very often do you like that feeling of having to pay a lawyer and hope that they can get you the results.
Mm-hmm.
But you trust that they can do the job.
Yeah.
No, like, and trust doesn't apply. What about insurance? You ever had to buy insurance, life insurance, homeowners insurance, automotive insurance, dental insurance?
Yeah.
You almost never use insurance, but you still pay that premium every month. You still pay that deductible when you do, and hope that the insurance covers a majority of the offset. We don't like insurance. We don't like attorneys.
So then it's just trust? Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? Reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message, coaching, service, and podcast. Get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone. Through my own events and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events, become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my events. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can to build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
I believe that people do business with people that share a common belief.
Okay.
And so if you're in sales and you look at sales like it's a service, like I believe if sales is a service, then if you want my product or my service, whether it's my real estate investment company or my blockchain technology company or my coaching and mentoring program or my sales training, then you have a need and or a want. And my belief is that you need my service, and it's my responsibility to convince you of that. But more importantly, not convince you of that, but make it your idea that you believe my product or service will fill that hole, that need, or that want in your life. And that's why I love sales. That's why I believe that sales is a service and that everyone should learn sales. So,
Yeah. All right. So the common belief is going to be that, like, you need my product or you need my service. That's going to be the common belief. All
your
right.
product or your service. Absolutely. I mean, if you want, this Trust Jesus hat and you don't know where to find it, and that's a belief of yours, well, I also share the belief that you should have one. Then you would go to XY, this particular website, and you would order it from my pastor friend, right? Or if you want to sell your house or buy a house, I believe that I'm the best in the industry because I have a very simple process that's easy, and it'll save you time and money and effort. And because I believe that, now I get the opportunity to share with you, not the why, but the how, by asking you better questions. So that's, my philosophy and methodologies behind sales and selling as a service.
All right. So getting the person to convince them, to believe that they need your product through your questioning and everything that you do. Awesome. And how are you using that gift that you have, man, right now?
Yeah. So right now, a couple of ways, and I appreciate you asking. It makes me actually think, before I answer that, it makes me think of Chris Voss. He wrote the book, Never Split the Difference. Mm-hmm. Our job as someone that is negotiating or convincing of a product or service as a sales professional is not to get somebody to say you're right. Our responsibility is to get them to say that's right. Like, they have this aha moment. Right. And so I am currently using those skills in a number of different ways. Right now, I do a lot of, keynote speaking, selling from stage, whether it's a virtual event or an in-person event for either myself, my coaching services, or other person's products or services that I partner with. And then we have a real estate investment company where we're buying and flipping 40, 50 houses a month. So I'm training my acquisition sales team. I'm training my disposition sales team to where when they acquire or they sell, buy or sell on either side of the equation, that they're better skilled at doing so, where most people in my industry make, between $5,000 to $7,000 on a real estate transaction as a commission. Our guys are averaging between 30 and 35,000 with the same set of skills, just because of the process. Yeah. Nice.
All right. So that's how you're using the skills. Anything else? Any other way that you're using?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because you kind of know, and probably most important, most recently, with your help, I actually, starting my own podcast. And so it's, an honor to be working with you and your team. And so anybody that's listening, if you've ever wanted to start a podcast, like Alex's team's amazing, and his team has completely filled that void to get my message out there, which is, trust Jesus. And so I'm evangelizing. I've got a street ministry to where we do evangelism with the homeless and the less fortunate. between that and ministry, speaking on stages, whether it's, at a conference or a networking event or even a church event, also using those same skills to sell and persuade, the beliefs that I hear to, which I believe everyone needs Jesus.
Bro, you're good, man. You made me believe that, and now I'm saved. But bro, that happened a week ago.
Yeah.
And like I speak as if I've been saved for a while now. Like
and you have. That's what's really neat about being saved, Alex. And I love that we're talking about this more than anything else. Like everybody is, they just have to accept it. It's a free gift. It's a free gift. You already are, but you have to accept it. If I wrapped up a present, let's say I wrapped up this pin. That's not a very good pin. Let's say I wrapped up this really nice pin and I wrapped it up and I put Alex's name on it. Well, in order for this to become a gift, Alex, you have to put your hand out and receive it. Yes?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Otherwise, it's just sitting there waiting for you. It's yours. There's a relationship between you and this pin. It's no different than Jesus. He's sitting there waiting for you every day to wake up and just say, I'm in. I love you and I want to be in communion with you. And it's no different. And I love that day. Like, you're just like, yes, I trust you. So I trust Jesus. And you made that commitment. And now it's just taking us each step day by day, just like
bro,
you would,
I know. And this is not about me. This is about you. Right. But let me tell you about me.
Okay? Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Man, I love these moments with Alex.
Man, through one of my podcasts, through one of the connections, because I build podcasts, but I like to say that I do more than that, right? I build networks and I use podcasting as a networking tool. And I just made a connection with the owner of a company who is going to invest in military network automation to take me to 8 figures in the next 16 months.
Good for you, man.
They're gonna give me money. They're gonna give me the resources that I need. And like, I don't know, like the guy believed in me, right? And he's like, this Saturday I'm gonna fly out to their office, and then we already have a deal, right? But they're going to record the entire thing. They're like sharks, right? Like the Shark Tank. And I'm going to be in front of them. I'm going to pitch. They're going to record everything, and then they're going to give me an offer, and I'm going to accept it because I already know what it is. And they're gonna give me all the resources to like get me to my goals, man. And that's
where are you flying to?
I'm flying to the company.
Or what city?
I don't know. I don't know the city.
Oh, okay.
Right. But yeah. And they're going to record the entire thing. And that's crazy, man, because you know what the modern gentleman is about? Like the modern gentleman is about getting men and women to become modern kings and queens, right? And work on all the 5 core freedoms: physical freedom, emotional freedom, spiritual freedom, sentimental freedom, financial freedom. And then, right, that gives them the capacity to grow impactful, purpose-driven, and super profitable businesses. They grow, scale, and exit. And then I take a piece of that pie, right? So like, I'm going to be taking a percentage of people's companies to help them grow and scale. So then it makes sense to get a company, like give a company a percentage of my company so that they can help me grow and scale, right? Who cares? I want to get to my goal, right? And like have that under my belt, like an 8-figure exit. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean, even 1% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Yeah. Right. And you want to know something else?
Sure.
There's a bit of shame. Like I felt a bit of shame, right? Because for some reason, my mind believes that I should bootstrap it and I should work hard. And there's been a bit of shame. Like, obviously, I'm choosing gratitude over shame, right? I'm choosing gratitude, and I'm choosing to like tell the entire world, like, look at what's happening. Look at all of the blessings God, life, and the universe are giving me. Like, they just want me, like, God just wants me to win, right? I'm choosing now that, like, I'm consciously choosing that. But there's also like a bit of shame that came right from having this opportunity.
Oh.
And
well, let me say this, Alex. Evil spirits work in several different ways, and this may actually not only apply to your situation, but to somebody that's listening, because really we do this show, we do these shows and what we do for other people, right? So somebody needs to hear this just as much as you need to hear it, because I'm your friend.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've learned about being an entrepreneur is that evil doesn't always mean bad and, hurt and pain. Sometimes evil spirits will distract you and keep you busy so your eye gets taken off the kingdom. And so I want to just encourage you, like, make sure that you keep your boundaries up, ask great questions, because great questions lead to great insights. And sometimes that feeling of shame is not necessarily shame as much as it may be discernment, because you became a believer in Christ and you publicly admitted it. Now Satan and or his, demons will continue to attack you, and you never know when it's going to come. And so I just want to encourage you as my friend and not just the co-host of, or host of this podcast, like making sure that you're praying through all those decisions and having those communications like you have been consistently with God, because you get out there, you show up, you do all the things and you commit to it. Not saying that this is the case, but it may be in the future instances. Sometimes being busy and doing all of these things over here distracts you from the relationship of that gift that you've been given, which is Christ and your Savior, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind and making sure you ask great questions anyways. It's just when we ask great questions and we get great insight, we don't always have to take that insight and act upon it. Sometimes we can use that feeling of what you are calling shame. It may be discernment to say, whoa, is that really aligned with the vision that God gave me, that my family deserves and the people around me are going to be a part of? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does make sense.
Love you, bro.
Yeah. All right, man. So yeah, and it's actually, so yeah. The fact that it's impossible for me to fail. You know what? Another, this is not about me, but I'm like, have this time with you, and I just got to tell you, right? Man, I'm extremely comfortable saying my beliefs, like my new faith.
Yeah.
That's weird. Like, I think about it, like I observe that from like a third person point of view, and I'm extremely comfortable, like just posting it or saying it out loud that I believe in Jesus. That's crazy. Like it's like my third person point of view thinks it's crazy because I'm extremely confident and like calm and like secure, And
I mean, all the cool kids are doing it, bro. No, I'm just messing with you. At the end of the day, I commend you for that, Alex. I'll tell you, I was probably one of the biggest skeptics. I wanted nothing to do with God. I grew up in the church as a young kid for the first, 11, 12 years of my life. And, my parents separated. My mom moved into housing projects. I seen dead bodies in hallways of apartments that were there
That's
for
crazy.
2 or 3 days, like before the police came and showed up, or, people knocking people's teeth out to smoke them because they thought they were dope. Like, I didn't believe that there was a God. And if there was, I didn't want nothing to do with it because he allowed that to happen. But I realized as an adult and going through the things that I went through, that is mankind. God didn't fail. God doesn't fail. Man fails. Female, male fails. And when our human nature, our human person in our life fails us in whatever way, we want to take that distraction and assign it to God, where it's just the human person in our life or even our own self that have let our own self down, and we let that doubt, fear, and shame continue to erode at the mind, right? And so, you always say with your team how you're having a positive morning and the things that you guys say. I've seen some of your affirmations as a team. Like, it's those types of things that separate the 1% from the 99. And even in that 1%, there's still, it's lonely at the top because most people don't understand the mud that we've been through, the slop that we've been thrown, and the challenges that we've had to overcome. And so I just want to encourage you, it feels good to be busy, but busy can also distract you from the goal, from the mission. And we've all been put on this earth for a purpose.
What do you mean by that, man? What do you mean by it's like it's good to be busy, but like that can distract you? Because you mentioned it a couple of times now, and I'm not sure that I'm getting it.
I mentioned this to you in the chat the other day, right? that in our just conversations, because we're friends and we talk every once in a while. And, there's a saying, you can be a jack of all trades, or a female would be a Jill of all trades and a master of none. Well, if you're not a master, right? Like I think of like King Solomon, right? People have a hard time believing in God. And yet King Solomon, even to this day, if they took his wealth back in the day and put it into modern day civilization, he would still be the wealthiest man on this planet ever to have lived. And yet he loved God. But because he got busy,
Doing what?
running a kingdom, having women and gold and idols, he started taking his eye off of God and started building his kingdom. And he ended up failing spiritually, but he wrote, several books in the Bible and things like that. And you can't deny, by the way, like the Bible, whether you adhere to it or not, people that are listening to the sound of my voice, like
it's true.
You can't deny that it's the best-selling book of all time, always has been, not to mention that it's been validated by most other religions, historical documents, and societal documents. Like the Roman culture, like Greek culture has pointed back and said, yeah, that's true, And so, yeah, I don't even remember where I was going with that, but I will tell you, like, busy is not always good. It feels good because you're doing things, but when you start being who you've been called to be, a modern king representing the kingdom, right? A prince in the kingdom that is on the throne to an heirship of what is to come, right? Guess what?
What?
You don't always have to be busy. Sometimes you just have to be focused. And so, yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that, but
yeah, no, I get you. And so then how do you make sure to not because how do you make sure to not get so busy that you forget what's truly important?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that there's ebbs and flows in life. I mean, a good example of that is like an accountant, right? Like an accountant is not typically very busy until, the first quarter of a fiscal year, or, if they do, the standard taxes, like in America, for example, April 15th, right? Like between February, March, and April, an accountant is super busy. Or a pastor, like pastors are super busy the week before Easter or the week before Christmas, right? Because that's when everybody goes to church 2 times a year, or maybe 1 time a year, and they pick a Easter or Christmas service.
Yeah.
The rest of the year, they're just time block, slow and steady. But I guarantee you, well, I'm not going to guarantee you, but I'll tell you, like that pastor has to set some expectations. And so the answer to your question of how, it's setting expectations. It's, hiring smart people to tell us what to do as entrepreneurs and leaders, because we typically either have this big vision and this big goal, or we're the person that's executing it. And so having that type of balance to know, like, okay, it's grind time, this first year to 3 years, it's nose down, but setting that example and expectation to the ones that we love so that they're not hurt and telling themselves their own story. So in your case, right? Like you've got a young wife and a young child, setting those expectations. These next, 3, 6, 9 months look like this, and this. One of the things that my family does that I found to be super helpful is I have 2 meetings that are time blocked out. Today, for example, I had a meeting with my wife for 1 hour every Monday. It used to be Tuesdays, but now every Monday between 11 and noon, my wife and I sit down and look at our expenses, our business, payroll, things like that every Monday, and figure out where we are, where we're going, and where we need to go. And then on Saturday mornings, we have another meeting just like that for our family. Oh, you've got this training class coming up. You've got this research, for my wife, she's in the medical field. And so she's got, training classes online, or ongoing certifications that she needs to maintain for her degrees and things like that, for her licenses. things like that, right? Like family budget, son soccer and football practice, things like that. We have a personal meeting and we have a business meeting. Twice a week, we have a meeting to lay out the game plan for what we've done, what we're doing, and where we're going. And when we have speaking engagements, so for example, I'm in October, I'm speaking at a massive event in LA. Well, guess what? It's August right now at the time of this recording. I had to tell her about it because it's a couple months in advance, because in October she's going away because her sister's having a baby, and part of her family culture is, they take care of each other. And so she's going to fly out to her sister's house for a month, and it's going to be me and my boy. So now I've got to take my son out of school, make arrangements for him to either have the nanny stay so he's continues schoolwork, or like most times he just comes and flies with me and goes to these masterminds and learns just like everybody else. And so we plan these things out. So that's how we do it. Everybody's family is different, but I would tell you that has been the game changer. Sit down and have intentional conversations and setting expectations. And it's no different than our companies in our families, because just like the pastor or the accountant, there are certain times where we're going to be busier than others. I'm in real estate. The busiest time of the year for me is like April to September. Why? Because school's about to get out or school's going back in session. And so most people buy, the majority of homes bought and sold are in that spring, summer, fall months. Winter, I don't take a day off, but in winter, I can take the month of December off. I usually do. I usually like second week of December to the second week of January, fly all over for Christmas and have amazing time with my family.
Cool.
And, because nobody's buying and moving a house. Not nobody, but majority of people are not buying or selling a house in the middle of Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving time. So there's always this ebb and flow, or this, like people like to say balance. And I don't think there is. It's just a difference of setting expectations and holding to boundaries. I really believe that.
Cool. I like that, man. So yeah, I have those weekly meetings as well with my wife 2 times per week. And you know what I'm going to start implementing? Dates, right? Like dates with my daughter, right? Like I want for her to be hard to impress.
Yeah, I seen that post when you were flexing. Like she's gonna be hard to impress. Like
she's gonna be hard to impress.
Come on, bro.
Let's go. So man, let's talk about real estate then, right?
Let's go.
I see. So what is it that you have this your book 5-hour flip? I think you also have the event 5-day 5-seller challenge, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have another event. But so yeah, tell me about like what you do in real estate.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we do majority of our business is automated and virtual wholesaling. And I gave a brief description earlier, but for a deeper discussion, it's essentially finding most people like the term or use the term ugly houses or distressed properties. I don't like that. I actually like to help people out of distressed situations. And so, we mostly deal with people that are going through divorce or that are in debt over their head, in pre-foreclosure, bankruptcy. Maybe they inherited a property of some sort that they can't afford, or maybe they've got a rental that they just don't want anymore. Yeah. We buy those houses on paper. So for example, let's say, Alex, you had a house and you couldn't afford it anymore and you just wanted to get rid of it, but you didn't have, $50,000 to upgrade it and update it to modern day prices. So you sell it for a discount. So let's say that your $250,000 house needs $75,000 in repairs. Well, that doesn't mean that I'm paying $175,000. That means I'm going to pay probably closer to like 125 to 130 on paper. And then I go market that deal out to end buyers that buy 1 or 2 deals a year. They buy it from me for, let's say 150, 160. They put the money into it. So now I make 20 or 30 in the middle. They put the 50, 60, 70,000 into it, depending on how well they do their flip. That's on them. And then they turn around and sell it and make a profit on the backside of the end of the deal, right? So that's wholesaling. So I contract a house at one price and then I sell the paper to another end buyer for a higher price. That's wholesaling. Now, occasionally we get really good deals or great areas, right? Real estate is all about location, location, location. Or we get clients that we've worked with multiple properties that keep bringing them. And because of that, we take them down and either do the flip ourselves and actually acquire the property, swing the hammer, fix it up and sell it for a profit, or we'll just take it down. Like right now, we're only buying for properties that we're holding long term because of where we're at in the economy. So, we will hold on to it. We've got between Florida, Texas, and SoCal and Southern California, we've got a little less than 1,100 rentals across Florida, Texas, and California
that you're holding, that you're renting.
that we hold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, and we cherry pick. We cherry pick from our deals that we're working with on the front side. So it's either a wholesale deal, or we decide to take it down and flip it, or we decide to take it down, rehab it, and rent it. Those are our 3 exit strategies.
So what is the part that you've been able to automate virtually?
Well, pretty much all of that.
Yeah.
All of that. I mean, all of that is completely automated and virtual. So between myself and my team over the last 11 years, 10 and a half years, we've done a little over 10,000 transactions now between our team in-house and then the clients that we've coached and worked with and partnered with on deals. And so all but 5 properties, actually 6 now, 6 or 7, I don't remember what the number is, 6 or 7 houses
You've
out
been
of
on
10,000 plus, we've actually walked ourselves or one of our partners. Yeah.
That's crazy. Out of 10,000 deals, 5 of those you've like actually been on and went
it's like
there.
6 or 7, I remember as I look over at my desk, like these are 2 of them. I'm weird. I like to pick up souvenirs whenever I go somewhere.
Nice.
I found this in the backyard of one property. If you're just listening to this, it's like an old school belt buckle. That was pretty cool. So I walked this property and then I found like this Mayan necklace. It looks like something you'd get on the beach at from a cartel or something at a resort. It's like a little necklace that's been carved out of something. I don't know. But yeah, those are the 2 properties that I personally walked. And then we've got, 5 or 6 others that we walked.
Cool. So then you've been able to like automate the entire thing, not only automate it, but like put it like virtual, like in a virtual automated system so that anyone who comes into this real estate wholesaling like can do all of this work from like the comfort of their home, right? So, is this what you teach in your 5-hour flip book?
It is. Yeah. The 5-hour flip book is really my organic to paid strategy. So it's everything that I did when I was first starting out from the backseat of my car. After I watched a couple of YouTube videos, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And it lays it out from step A to step Z. And how to, acquire the properties, who to sell it to, how to get it under contract, and where to market to get those leads. Yep.
Nice. So, and you can get that at 5hourflip.com, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's like
cool.
$7, I think.
Awesome, man. All right. And so, all right, let's see. So like, you help people in distress situations, right? So that's actually what my brother does. My brother, he like his message is that he buys property with problems, right? So for example, like a foreclosure, right? The people own money to the bank and they're going to like lose the house. But instead of him going to the auction to like bid against other bidders for the house, he goes to the person, right? And he's like, hey, like you're gonna lose your home, right? Instead of you getting out and having like your hands like not getting anything, let me help you, right? So I'll buy your problem, not the property because the property is lost. I'll buy your problem, right? I'll stay with the debt, and here, let me give you a little bit of money so that you at least take something with you and just like keep going with your life, right? And that's what he does, right? And then he like takes care of the debt and all of that, and then he sells it. Sounds similar. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in this business either does a little bit of everything or they're a master, kind of like what I said earlier, right? A jack of all trades is a master of none. And so he has mastered that bankruptcy process, right? Stopping the bankruptcy, helping them get a little cash in their pocket, taking over the note, and then getting them on their way, rehabbing it, and then selling it, right? That is just one strategy inside of the whole picture. Our process is a little different. Like, we don't just focus on just bankruptcies or just pre-foreclosures. Like, we take all of those problems and solve them.
Okay. And that is like the first part, like finding those deals, right? Finding those people.
Yep.
So what insight do you have to be able to do that, to get started finding those deals?
Yeah. So we outlay that in the book, and my
Nice.
method or my thought is go where the people are. I mean, where is 99% of the population right now in the world?
Cities.
Cities. Okay. And then think a little deeper, think a little bit more, you know, horizontal. Like, where else is everybody at?
Their phone. Okay.
Yeah. They're on social media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on social media, whether they're a Facebooker or an Instagrammer or a TikToker or a YouTuber or a Craigslist person. They're on social media somewhere, some way. 99, I mean, there are third world countries that never knew what XYZ was. And they went, never having a phone in their life to now all of a sudden they have a cell phone with technology and access to the world.
Yeah.
Right. And it's no different. People with problems, they still try to find a way to pay their bills, and they use free social media to get cheap shoes or sell their old shoes to make money. So one of the things that I teach is, joining 10 Facebook groups every single day that are like garage sale groups and buy, sell, swap groups and auction groups and HOA groups. You go join 10 Facebook groups every single day. And then the next day you join 10 more and post in the previous day's 10 in the morning and in the afternoon, and just keep repeating that. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes of your day. Join 10, post 10, join 10, post 10, join 10, post 10. And you'll get 2 to 3 hot motivated sellers every week. And if you just close one of them, that's 4 deals a month. That's 20 to 50 grand a month. That could change anybody's life.
Yeah. That's great, man.
Easily.
Awesome. Have you ever done like multifamily real estate?
I've done one deal. I don't understand it well enough. I'm not a very technical person. I actually it'll be a year in September. We closed, I was a partner on a deal. We got 92 doors in a multifamily deal. Yeah.
Damn, awesome. All right, yeah. So that's like the niche that I'm going to be going into. I've had some experiences with a couple of multifamily realtors, real estate investors. The experience has been that with one connections that they made, their portfolio just exploded, right? So like all I know is that multifamily real estate investors need connections, and they have money, and that's who I'm going to like get really good at serving, like becoming an expert at, like master that niche. And like I want to own apartment buildings, and I want to own like buildings, and I'm going to end up in real estate, right? That's somewhere that I'm going to end up. So why not, get started on it now? So Bryce, we're almost at the end of this podcast, man. And I have a couple of questions to ask you before we end.
Let's go.
All right. Let's go. So man, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could?
My 20-year-old self, gosh, stay out of the back office. I was in the automotive industry, and my 20-year-old self was making millions of dollars and hanging out in the back office with the wrong people, celebrating deals, and introduced me to drugs and alcohol for the first time. So I as a user and not a promoter, but if I could tell him anything outside of that's kind of what first came to my mind, right? I'm kind of a goofy, sarcastic type of guy. Like,
Yeah.
Stay out of the back office, McKinley. That's what I would say. And then I would tell him, the quote, never wrestle with the pig. because you both get muddy, but the pig enjoys it.
Yeah.
And that comes to mind because now knowing my faith and my walk and my belief and what we do from, my faith standpoint, one of the things that I know now is that wrestling with the pig for me was allowing depression and shame and guilt to set in, and alcohol and drugs. And for me, if I never wrestled with that, I would have never had some of the downfalls that I would have. And then third, I would tell my 20-year-old self, Alex, everything's going to be okay. Like, keep pushing. You're going to have some hard times coming up in the next few years. It feels great right now, but you're going to have some hard times. But between two mountaintops, there's always a valley that you go through. So there's always when new levels, new devils, right? Like, so when you get to that next level, in order to get to the next level, sometimes you got to go down and get into the mud, get into the valley, just keep going. It gets better, and you learn more, you become wiser, and slow down a little bit. Believe it or not, I would say slow down, because at 20 years old, man, I wanted the world plus some. And I
Me
wasn't
too.
focused on what was important.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, man. Let's see. What advice would you give to like a man, right, trying to become this modern king and have it all, right? Like, become the best version of himself in every single area of his life. What advice would you give to him?
Hire a coach, or 5 like I do. I mean, I believe that a good coach can help you see the label on the outside of your own jar. And I think that that's a problem in our modern society, is that we have this thing called ego.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about you, Alex. Like, I remember when we first met at
I have 7 coaches.
That's awesome. I've got 6, right? Like,
cool.
Like, I know when I first met you, like, you weren't even halfway through day 1 of a 3-day event. And you're like, whatever it is, that end product, like, tell me what that is, I'm in. That's what I love about you, Alex. I appreciate that. Like, I would tell men to hire a coach, and I have one in every area of my life, right? Physical, like, I'm down 82 pounds as of this morning, over the last year. Physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, business, professional, relational. I've got 6 coaches that I pay an excessive amount of money, and you may not be able to afford that. However, there are organizations, go get plugged in. I just gave this tip the other day on Clubhouse. Like, you want to learn leadership skills? Guess what? Call Fortune 500 companies and ask them if they do leadership training for their employees. And when they tell you yes, because they always do, ask them, I'm curious, like, what does that look like if I was to come work with you? When is that next leadership training going to be, and where is it located? Find out where that event is, and then ask them if you can attend. Because they would love to have more butts in seats, even if you don't work for their company, and you can go attend these leadership and sales training.
Damn.
Most people don't know that. Like, when I was training, when Ford hired me to train their sales teams and their dealerships,
they wish they had more people in there.
Oh yeah. Because think of it this way, Alex, if you own a small dealership that has maybe 10 salespeople, and I have 5 or 6 people come up, well, now I've got 15 or 16 people to train and role play. And now we have more people, more ideas, more creativity, and energy goes where energy flows. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Awesome. So, man, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you very much. If people want to know more about the work you do, like with the 5-hour flip, with everything that you got going on, teaching people how to like launch their real estate business virtually and all of that, where should they go? Where would be the best place to find you? Yeah,
I mean, you can go to any social media. First and last name is Bryce McKinley, just like it sounds, BryceMckinley. And if you want to learn how I've changed tens of thousands of lives in real estate, grab my book. It's $7. The number 5hourflip.com, 5hourflip.com. And yeah.
5hourflip.com. Awesome, Bryce. Thank you very much, man. And I'll see you later.
Love you, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you, Alex.
Appreciate you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms